The great astronomer Carl Sagan once spoke for wanderers across all borders, ethnicities, religions, and races when he said, "We were wanderers from the beginning. We were bounded only by the earth and the ocean and the sky. The frontier was everywhere." Humanity's addiction with exploration and wonder is intrinsically connected to our nature. To survive, we must explore new worlds. When the drought was prolonged or when the food was scarce, we moved on. We sought a better place, as Carl Sagan said. We were hunters and foragers, explorers of the unknowns. We were voyagers, adventurers in the mountains and on the oceans. As we grew more advanced, we began voyaging the seas. We explored the Western Pacific. We circumnavigated Africa. We traversed everywhere. We explored the unknowns. We indulged in a new chapter of human existence. This was a chapter in which we could explore all the worlds, all of our planet. But even that does not compare to now, for we have become more advanced and advanced enough to venture out into the cosmos. The universe is exponentially larger than we previously knew, and even more divine and incredible. Even through all our exploration and search, we have yet to find an alien life. We have yet to find alien life existing. Why is that the case? Our desperate search for extraterrestrial life can be potentially well represented by the great filter in the Fermi Paradox. For as long as we have known there are other planets and stars out there, we have questioned whether we are one of many or one of only in the universe. As of yet, we've come extremely short. No question. In the trillions and trillions of planets in the observable universe, we have yet to find significant evidence of any life existing. We've never even had a radio signal before. Enrico Fermi, he was a scientist and astronomer, an Italian astronomer. He devised this idea, basically. It's a paradox. It's called the Fermi Paradox, of course. And he devised it to showcase the apparent contradiction between the seemingly abundant number of civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, according to the Drake equation, which you'll see up here, against the lack of evidence towards the existence of extraterrestrial life, which we found no evidence, so it's pretty obvious there's a contradiction there. So it's definitely a paradox as of now. So the Fermi Paradox itself is merely the contradiction we observe when we find absolutely no evidence of extraterrestrial life existing. Like, the only life we know exists is on our planet, of course. Attempts to understand in detail this paradox are often formulated, but as of yet, it remains a paradox. The fact that we haven't found any other life before signifies the paradoxical nature of potential extraterrestrial existence. We don't have the evidence for half of it, so we can't really come up with an idea of what is actually going on. To actually understand our nature and our existence, we look at the Great Filter, which attempts to explain and exemplify the Fermi Paradox in all its craziness, let's just say it that way. The Great Filter attempts to explain that rather than there actually being an abundance of alien civilizations in the universe, there are few or even none. We are the only ones. This is a result generally of existential disasters or improbable occurrences that occur in one of 9 different steps. Think of a Great Filter event. So, number two is the development of reproductive molecules. We have yet to find anything of that. We've found no evidence of reproductive molecules. We found nucleic acids, we found amino acids, we found everything, but we've never found the complex self-replicating organic molecules. We don't know if it's the Great Filter event yet, but imagine we project that it happens 6% of the time. So on 6% of the planets that are suitable for life, DNA and RNA develop. Now, if the Great Filter event was there, then the chances may be 10 to the negative 13th power. And then it's incredibly improbable that life would develop. Still, even with 10 to the negative 13th power, I'm pretty sure we'd find some civilizations pretty quickly. The Great Filter details 9 different steps in which the Great Filter may actually occur, And number 1 is the right star system, so like organic compounds and habitable planets. This has already somewhat been ruled out. Like, we already have observational data, like I'm thinking the TRAPPIST system or the Kepler-1 system, the Alpha Centauri system. There are many ones we've already found, so I mean that's really not, can't really do anything like that. Number 2 is the development of reproductive molecules. Number 3 is the development of prokaryotic, so no nucleus, no membrane enclosed nucleus, a single cell life. And then 4 is the development of eukaryotic life, which is membrane enclosed nucleus life, essentially. Number 5 is the development of reproductive tactics akin to sexual reproduction. So obviously on another planet it's not going to be the same, but still, like, somewhat like it. Number 6 is the development of multicellular cellular life. I can never say that word. So I'm a human, so multicellular life. Number 7 is the upbringing of a tool-using intelligent species. So I'm thinking apes, just the entire genus of apes, because many of us apes are tool-bearing species. Number 8 is a newly advanced species similar to us that is advancing toward what is known as the colonization explosion. Basically, the colonization explosion is an explosion of the number of planets that a particular species inhabits. Number 9 is an intelligent species that reached the colonization explosion. And at that point, there's no great filter event after that. We can't think of one. There might be one, but we can't think of one as of now. So all of these except number 1 may possibly be a great filter event. But as of yet, we have found no significant evidence of 2 to 9 that may disprove or prove its potential to be a great filter event. With number 2, or the development of reproductive molecules, we have seen the building blocks of DNA and RNA, like I said, but we have yet to find the actual DNA itself. So in a molecular cloud, there's adenine, but we've never found DNA like on Mars. If we find DNA on Mars, it'll be one of the craziest moments in human history. The timing of these great filter events are incredibly important. Not only does it indicate the probable maximum advancement for the prospect of life on another planet, but it also indicates the existentiality of our own species and our own planet. If the great filter exists and is applied to our species, there are 3 possibilities. 1, the great filter event or events is behind us. We are one of the first, if not the first, to make it out. Number 2, the great filter events are ahead of us. We have yet to experience it, but eventually we will, and we are almost bounded to face certain death. And number 3, we are currently engaged in a great filter event. Humanity is in a cataclysmic danger. The last 2 are by far the most horrifying things ever. Enough to give you goosebumps at the very least. But the worst part of it is that it's more likely that the great filter is ahead of us than it is behind us. Subjectively, at least. There's no empirical evidence of it, but subjectively, we have reason to believe it. If the earlier steps, like steps 1 through 8, are probable, then the galaxy would be teeming with extraterrestrial life. It would be teeming with the basic extraterrestrial life. But we have no indication that this is happening. We have no indication whether it does or not, but still, it's possible. But it also seems probable that the great filter event is step 9. And it's because we have yet to found species or intelligent civilizations more advanced than us. And it seems, at least on Earth, more likely that we get to a strong, intelligent species that dies out than a strong, intelligent species that makes it out. Exactly. Like, we humans are currently step 8 or 9, but yeah, we have not reached 9 yet. And it is believed that there may be a great filter event preceding step 9. So I think of it this way. This century is the most insane century ever. Let's just say it that way. In this century, there is a 19% chance that humanity will extinct itself. I don't mean go extinct. It will extinct itself. We've always discussed this. Nuclear war, intelligent AI, nanotechnology accidents, engineered pandemics, bio warfare. We've always talked about this. but we don't realize how much of a probability it actually has to extinct us. We have never been at 19% ever in human history, at least in recorded history. And it's never been a result of the Anthropocene. It's never been an anthropogenic omnicide, like an omnicidal event. It's never been that way. Simply by the probability of our own extinction over the next hundreds of years, don't you think it's quite probable that that is the Great Filter event? I mean, we don't know yet. It's only subjective right now, but still, it's possible. It's possible that number 9 is a Great Filter event. But on the other hand, we also haven't found any significant indication of events 2 through 8 being likely or unlikely. So it is possible that the Great Filter is behind us, especially considering that the likelihood of an organism evolving into a keystone species like humans is empirically known to be incontrovertibly low. While there seems to be more subjective reasoning indicating that the Great Filter is ahead of us, it is still very much possible that the Great Filter is behind us. We need to find empirical evidence for now. So more data is, of course, needed for us to be able to better understand what the Great Filter actually is and when it may happen. But for now, we must attempt to ensure that if the Great Filter is ahead of us, that we do not make the mistake and let it happen to us. Considering that it is more likely that the event preceding step 9 is going to be, the Great Filter event is going to be anthropogenic. It's going to be human caused. We need to ensure that that doesn't happen. So we need to regulate our nanotechnology and our intelligent AI. We're going to definitely, above everything, nuclear non-proliferation. That's a big thing. We have to ensure peace and democracy throughout the planet to avoid all war at all costs. That may be the thing that helps us avoid the Great Filter. And maybe we will be the first space-faring species to ever exist. Thank you all for listening. And as always, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good night. Take care and stay curious.